For more about Day 14 of former President Donald Trump's criminal trial, former federal prosecutor Joe Moreno joins me. Nice to see you.
Greta, how are you?
All right, Joe. So, no trial is perfect, and we have a lot of flaws in our system, but still the best in the world. Having said that, looking at that trial in New York, should the American people feel proud that this is fair trial, and this is something that the world should see?
This trial is outrageous. This case was weak a year ago when it was charged. It was weak when the trial began 2 weeks ago, and now 14 days in, it is just outrageous.
How does this happen? Because, I sit here night after night, I look at the indictment, I'm thinking to myself, okay, we got what they've established now is that all these people know each other and pass money around. That's just not a crime. And I'm thinking to myself, these prosecutors went to law school. The judge went to law school. I mean, I don't get it. How does this happen?
There's tough calls and there's easy calls. But if a television lawyer comes on, looks you in the eye, and says this is a strong case, they're either lying or they have no idea what they're talking about. This case should have fallen apart for at least half a dozen reasons. And yet, the biggest one being, there's still no crime alleged here. Remember, the fraudulent books and records have to be linked to another crime. And Alvin Bragg, whether it was in the indictment or in the opening of the trial or now, has never specified what that crime is. And he's made some vague references to a conspiracy to steal the 2016 election.
He said to influence an election. I'm thinking, that's what politicians all want to do, is they want to influence an election to win. But I still don't get it. This is where I'm stuck on it. What in the world is this judge thinking? His daughter is an activist raising money, good for her, but it's for opponents of President Trump, and you've got this very low standard appearance of impropriety, and it's not that even it's a real conflict. He could have passed it to another judge. There are 120 of them, and avoided that whole conflict, but he held on to it himself, which just poisons so many people's view of this.
Greta, between the prosecutor, Alvin Bragg, between the judge, Judge Merchan, it's very clear they don't care about if this is appealed. They don't care about the perception, about maintaining
Why
public
not?
respect.
Don't they have some personal respect?
No, all they care about is the short-term victory, which is to label Donald Trump a felon and try to stop him from getting elected in November. It is so crass, and yet it is so obvious. And we can all sit here and look at it. And whatever network you're on, whatever your political bent is, it doesn't change the fact that this case is absolutely disgraceful. It is an abuse of the legal system, and yet it churns on, and we have to just kind of sit back and watch it. But it's ridiculous.
We've seen other instances. Look at the Colorado case where they tried to keep Trump off the ballot. And in the High Court in Colorado, 4-3 upheld that. And it goes up to the Supreme Court, and it's unanimous. They say, well, have you lost your mind, Colorado? Don't you have the Constitution out there? it wasn't even like an 8-1 decision in the Supreme Court. The United States Supreme Court just said to Colorado, basically, this is the worst thing you could do.
When that case broke, I remember I was on television that night, right after it had broken, and the anchor asked me, would this case be upheld? And I said, of course it will not be upheld. This case is ridiculous. And yet smart so-called smart legal analysts all over the place kind of stroked their chins and said, oh, no, this is good constitutional law. That was ridiculous constitutional law, and of course it was unanimously overturned. And this case is equally as bad. And the fact that the judge is allowing this to happen, he is just complicit in absolutely abusing the legal system for crass political purposes.
And I'm shocked that other judges, other lawyers don't get on, because this isn't a close case. It's like the 9-0 against Colorado. Now that we've had 14 days of testimony. So if you want to sort of give them the benefit of the doubt going into this, we are now at a point where it is, I don't understand why other people aren't speaking up, because this does indict our whole system.
Because they share the same short-term goal, which is a political goal. I don't think they care how they get there. I don't think they care whether it's appealed in the next year or two, because the objective will have been met. And if it's appealed 2 years from now, so what? The goal here is to destroy Donald Trump politically. And look, you can
we all went to law school, and the goal is, you can hate Trump, but he's still entitled to a fair trial. The Constitution applies to everybody.
Absolutely. And look, there's 4 different cases against him right now. Some are weak, some are strong. This one is absurd. And so, again, you can like him politically or you cannot. But if you're taking an honest legal assessment of this case, it is absolutely ridiculous.
Joe Moreno, thank you. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Greta.